are ready to go.
Okay, I'm calling to order the Marin Municipal Water District Board meeting for September 1st. Can I get a motion to adopt our agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay, I guess roll call vote.
Yes. Director Bragman? You're
Larry,
on mute, sir.
Aye.
He's just being
Sorry.
reclusive.
Director
Stupid.
Kohler,
aye.
Director Russell,
Aye.
and President Gibson.
Aye. All right, do we have any public expression?
Not for the, yes, you did receive, the board did receive an email and it was forwarded to the board. It will be posted later on after the meeting.
Okay, good, thank you. And now we're at directors and general managers announcements. Ben, I'll start with the general managers announcements.
Okay, just a brief note, as you've seen probably as you went through the board packet, we did a little update and refresh of the agenda and the staff reports, kind of little modernizing them and a little more user friendliness. If you have any comments, feel free to pass them on to me or Jeannie.
All right, thank you.
I think it's great. Much easier to read. Great job, you guys.
All right. Any directors announcements?
Not for me.
I have a question.
Yes.
So there was an article in the Chronicle today about the elk in GGNRA. I guess are having a water shortage of some sort, and there's been some animals that have been found, and I'm just dead from lack of water. So I know a few years ago we were providing some water for some of the animals out in West Marin, and I'm just wondering whether we could look into whether our district might be able to provide some water.
Yeah, well, we can, I'll work with Crystal and others trying to understand what we did a few years back and if those, who the right folks to connect with are. We'll take a look at that.
Okay, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I think it's a great idea. Why do you think they can't find the creek, Lagunitas?
I know Inverness Water District, they're in major drought mode at this point. So I just think some of those seasonal creeks this year are just
dried up, huh?
not producing this year.
Yeah.
So
That's too bad.
My recollection, and it is, don't go to the bank with this, but the way I remembered, I think what we did was provide water for livestock and
Right.
those sorts of animals. Yeah.
right. It was livestock.
Yeah. Okay.
I think your idea is a good one. I think it would be pretty easy to put a trough out there and give them some water.
Yeah. As Ben said, I think that's the right, find out who we would contact to, work with on that. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Any other directors announcements? Okay.
Well, I got a little short one, Jack. I've got to meet my grandson on Sunday.
All right. And you, right?
Yes, sort of. He's a little unfocused right now.
Yeah. Okay. Takes us to our consent calendar. Can I get a motion to approve our consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Kohler,
Terry, one second. Really quickly, I'd like to point out to the board on item number 2, there's actually a typo on the resolution. It's in section 4 there. The last sentence should read W.R. Ford because we are awarding the contract to W.R. Ford, not Michael Paul Company. So I just want that to be clear.
All right, good, thank you. Yeah.
As
I'm
amended.
sorry, Director Kohler,
Aye.
Director Russell,
Aye.
and President Gibson.
Aye. Number 6 on our regular calendar, approval of the project coordinator position for the Facilities and Watershed Division.
Yeah, good evening. Both of these are mine tonight.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we'll start with the first one. There's a vacancy in a watershed maintenance worker 2 position in watershed management department. And we're proposing to reclassify this position to a project coordinator position. And as the district is scaling up on our veg management investments with BIFIP, there's a business need to accurately track all the contractors' vegetation management work and document and map the activities and also coordinate with the consultants that we have working on environmental compliance and monitoring. Those duties would be outside the duties for a watershed maintenance worker. So staff is proposing to reclassify to project coordinator. And we're asking that the board authorize the general manager to recruit and hire this project coordinator.
Okay.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right. And this is filling, I think you said, Crystal, a position that has been vacated, essentially.
Yes, that's correct. We had a promotion of a maintenance worker 2 to crew leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so now there's a vacancy in maintenance worker 2 position.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions from the board? Comments from the board?
I have a question.
Yes.
The report indicates that we've been contracting out with Golden Gate. Hold on a second. For the last
National Parks Conservancy.
Right, the Conservancy, sorry. So why not continue to use that and then just use this position for actual maintenance work? I mean, have we done a cost comparison? And
That's a good question, Larry. We feel that there's enough work there to fully employ somebody in these activities, and having somebody on staff that's experienced and trained and knowledgeable of our lands would better support our efforts.
well, I mean, it would be interesting to do some kind of a cost comparison. I agree with you, as far as having somebody who's more knowledgeable or at least more familiar, but I don't see any indication that our past contracting has been deficient or anything. So just.
Yeah, Director Bragman, I think part of it is a reflection of the big scale up we're doing as part of the BIFIP, and now multiple contracts, significant dollars, in a sense that internally we really want to manage those contracts responsibly. And not that we can't have a third party do it, but then you ideally want someone to oversee the work of the third party. It's just the nature of the work has grown that I think it's a good move to bring that in-house and get that internal ownership of that work. It's gotten pretty complicated with all those contracts.
Right,
Okay.
and the work is tracked in our SAP system and on GIS, and all of the intricacies and the complexity of our electronic management system is something that, you would have to train a consultant to learn. And typically we don't allow consultants access to those electronic files.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your management discretion rules, I think, on that. So, okay, we'll try it.
Okay. Any public comment on this?
No, President Gibson, we do not.
Okay, I guess we're ready for a roll call on item number 6.
Who would like to make the motion?
Oh, yeah, I guess we better.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Kohler,
Aye.
Director Russell,
Aye.
and President Gibson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item number 7 is approval to fill the water conservation specialist position in the Facilities and Watershed Division. Again, Crystal.
Great. Thank you. So this one's also mine. We've had a promotion outside leaving F&W. Our water conservation specialist 2 got promoted to meter shop supervisor. And so we're asking to downgrade this position to a level 1-2 and recruit for the position. They support all of our water efficiency programs in terms of going out to people's houses for high water use investigations. They also do landscape plan reviews as part of our ordinances on landscape review. And it's a very important position for the group. So we're asking to authorize the general manager to recruit and hire a water conservation specialist 1-2 in F&W.
Okay. Again, any board questions or comments? Any public comment?
There are none.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Thank you. Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Kohler,
Aye.
Director Russell,
Aye.
and President Gibson.
Aye.
Thank you.
I just wanted to note this position also is open from a promotional opportunity from a water conservation specialist position to supervisor of the meter shop. Just we're really seeing some nice internal movement upward, which is a nice sign, a strong
Right.
organization.
Right. Okay, I think we're ready for a communications update information item number 8.
Okay, great. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Now we can.
Yep.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, so in addition to the larger efforts that we have going on now, bringing the website online and just the identity refresh that we are doing with the new logo, the new templates, and even this PowerPoint template that you see here, what I wanted to do really was spend some time just talking about some of our other key projects this quarter. So basically, we'll go through our customer bill update and then talk a little bit about some of the conservation outreach that we've done this quarter. And then I just wanted to touch briefly on the water quality report and then finish up with giving you all a look at the end we just completed. So with that, so for the customer bill update, what we really wanted to do was find a way to make our bills easier to understand, just to help customers navigate and really get a solid understanding and context of their water bill. So we took a look at our bill, but we also looked at what other agencies were doing to glean some best practices here. We also took into account customer feedback. What were their questions? What were their concerns? And so what you see here on the right now is our current bill. And this is the refreshed version. So what we did really was spend some time with this account details section, really trying to understand or make it really understandable for customers, particularly when it comes to what they're paying for water service. So you may recall that previously we had a category here that just said service charge. And that was causing so much confusion. What is that? Is that a meter charge? So we really cleaned it up here with a better explanation. It's your base water charge. And we'll get into a little bit more about what that description is. In addition, we replaced CCFs with units just for a more understandable approach. And other water districts are doing this. It's nothing new. But I really think that it shows an effort to be more transparent and make sure everything is easily understood. And if you
Do we
look
define, Jeannie, do we define units somewhere?
absolutely, yeah, we define one unit as 748 gallons. So
Okay.
basically, 1 unit is a CCF. And I made sure that we left that CCF reference in certain areas just for those who are used to seeing that. So yes, We also developed a water usage category to more clearly reflect the amount of water our customers using. I don't know if you can see my cursor there, top right. And then the other thing we did was clean up that water use history chart just to give customers a better tool to track their long-term usage and compare that usage to what's going on with other customers in their area. So let's go. So the back of the bill really is equally as important because this is where people go to get an understanding of what their water bills mean. So we took some time to really look at what we have now and how we can improve upon it. What you see is the old bill there in front of you, and this is the refresh. So really, overall design improvements make the bill easier to navigate, but the real changes are in how we explain the charges. So the base water charge here now more clearly reflects the detailed explanation of water costs associated with water service. And if you look at the watershed management fee and the capital maintenance fees, they're explained with greater context. The watershed management fee is explained to really illustrate that it helps us to take care of our reservoirs, which affect our water. We also took the time to really look at the capital maintenance fee explanation so that people have an idea of the fact that these fees go to make their service more reliable.
Like that.
Yeah, this effort came about, there's a number of things, just Jeannie looking around of where to update different communication and outreach material. This also came about from customer concerns of looking at the service charge as kind of what's the hotel charges, you know, where it felt like an add-on, and by calling it a base fee or base charge and explaining what that is, and then the tiered charges are additive to that, I think that may address a fair amount of the questions that we've gotten over time of why am I paying so much on these add-on charges? And that seemed to be a fairly common relatively complaint or concern that we've heard.
And grouping it under water service makes it clear that this is what they're paying for the water service and it's not some ancillary fee. So we're hoping this will be really well received. Okay, so then I wanted to just touch a little bit on our conservation outreach for the quarter. If you recall from the last meeting, we talked about aggregating the rebates and sort of bringing them together in terms of our messaging and also doing some targeted messaging for the new package of rebates. So of course we use a variety of platforms, but the most direct is our communication with our customers, and our customer newsletters and our inserts are really the most direct way to do that. So we've included a lot of information about our rebates and just ways to be more water wise in all of our newsletters. It's a regular feature actually at this point. And in addition to that, our inserts are really helpful in providing just a leave behind, we call it, that people can keep with them. They can stick it on the refrigerator and they can just have all that information at their fingertips. And I'll show you an example of that. But really what we're trying to do is be more strategic in the messaging. So in the spring, you'll hear us talking more about gardening tips, you know, how to have a water-wise garden. And as we move into the warmer months, then we talk about irrigation and how it can help save you money through some of these rebates, landscaping, things of that nature. And as we move into the cooler months and the fall and hopefully the rainy season, you see us talking about rain barrels or maybe taking it in a gray water webinar. What you see here is actually the center section of a trifold that we put in the bills to inserts. All of our rebates right there at your fingertips. And Carrie and her team were really helpful in helping us put this together. So we really like that piece. We plan to get a lot of use out of that. Digital platforms are always important in outreach, right? And so we spent a lot of time social media, making sure that we get the message across, making sure we tag our partners, doing our website promotions. So what you see here is just a basic Nextdoor post. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got, that post alone got 7,600 impressions, and that's good for a single post. In addition, with Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, just for this period of just conservation outreach, our reach was just under 20,000. And there's another example of one of our rebate posts, nice and clean, easy to understand. Of course, traditional media always plays a role to reach the broadest audience. So we did do a series of ads, and this is one of them. We ran Marin IJ. We also had some articles that we call earned media. Or what that is basically a staff written piece that mentioned the district's rebates or the district's programs or the webinars. And really that has a lot of credibility with the community. So we're happy to say that we were able to do that. And another platform for us, collateral materials. So what this is an example of a leave behind that we created for one of our partners, the Urban Farmer Store. So what they did was they made printouts of this and left it at the counter for their customers to pick up if they were interested in attending the webinar on laundry to landscape. If they had questions about our other rebates, this is another way for us to reach people in addition to our own customers directly. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time, very brief time, on the annual water quality report. And really this report is pretty formulaic in that the State Water Resources Control Board really has prescribed content for this. So there's not that much flexibility, but where we did have some flexibility, we really wanted to improve on the design. It's important information, and for people who are interested, we wanted to make sure that the charts were more readable. And you've probably seen the report. There's a lot of dense information in there. So our goal was just to present it in a way that's more accessible. We also had the opportunity to include some new content, so we were able to do that. Okay, so the annual
So
report.
can I ask you on the water quality?
Sure.
Did you guys add the Sonoma water the comparison on some of the substances?
No.
Oh, because that's in there now. There's a couple.
What section are you referring to?
If you go through the various levels of substances of concern, there's a column for Sonoma water comparing, well, I guess because we're getting our water from Sonoma.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So part of the requirement is that we talk about not just the water, but the source, and give
Right.
us a list of contaminants. So I can see, yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the annual report, if you recall, the board suggested that we produce an annual report really to share our story with customers and with our community. And so we've done that. It is completed. And if you haven't received your printed copy, you should be getting it in the mail shortly. And we're really excited about it. So what I wanted to do for this is a 60-second look at that report, literally 60 seconds. So what you see here is really recognition of our rich history. We really wanted to share that as the first water district established in California, our history really informs the work that we do. It's important to us. So we wanted to make sure that was front and center in this report. And of course, information on our financial stewardship. You see here where your dollar goes, really clearly explaining to customers how we're using their money. And as the first water district in California, we also have the responsibility of taking care of our infrastructure. So what you see here is a piece talking about how we're investing in our water system to make it more reliable for our customers. And that's really important, especially as we want to always be planning for the future. We we've had our challenges last year, right? So the PSPS is addressed here. And what this really shows is that not only we're ready and resilient, but with the help of our customers, we will able to successfully navigate that challenge. And the watershed is such a big part of our mission as well. So we wanted to really take the time to talk about that, to talk about Mount Tam as an ecological resource, but really to share our stewardship, our environmental stewardship, because taking care of that watershed is taking care of our water supply. So we really wanted to share that in this report in a comprehensive way. And finally, our volunteer programs, the next generation of land stewards. That's such an important part of what we do. Wanted to make sure we included that. And that pretty much is the annual report in 60 seconds or more or less. I assure you it took longer to put it together, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
It's really well done. You should be really, really proud of this. It's got a great look, a great feel. I even like the fonts. I mean, I think it's
Hey, all right. We changed the fonts a couple of times. I love this font.
It's really good. It's really an upgrade, very clean, very accessible. I think it's terrific. It's really well done.
Thank you. Great.
Yeah, I completely agree. You have to.
Jeannie, I think we should be careful about stating that we're the oldest water district. We're the oldest municipal water district. That's true. LA Water and Power was established in 1902. And I think there are others that predate Water and Power.
Right. Actually, we don't say we're the oldest water district. We say
you just said that.
Well, I said that, but the report says that we're the first municipal water district established in 1912.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you just said it in the presentation. That's why.
I got it.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have commented.
My bad. Thank you.
No problem. And what is the purpose of this document?
So this is an annual report. Actually, it was a suggestion from the board, and it's really just another way to share our story with the community and our customers. And it just takes the whole year into account. And it really, I think it'll really help build a greater understanding of the work that we do and why we do it.
Are you thinking about including it with the consumer confidence report? Or have you thought about that?
No, we really haven't thought about doing a mass mailing of the report.
I think you should. I think it would be a very nice addition to the consumer confidence report. It may fall, that's in July, so it may not fall exactly with the timing of what you're thinking, but I don't think that really matters.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Very pretty.
Okay,
Nice.
yes.
Awesome.
Do we have any public comment on this item by any chance?
No, we do not, President Gibson.
And this is an information item only, of course. All right, I think that takes us to item number nine, a grant and legislative program update. I think that's Jeannie too, right?
I have a quick question, Jack.
Yeah.
I see now we have all these initials and signatures and stuff. I hope those are being put on digitally.
Yes,
or are we actually passing the document around?
Digital.
Digital, great.
So actually, Matt's going to do this report.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Good evening, board members. This is Matt Sagas, the Grant and Legislative Program Coordinator for the district. Tonight, we are going to give you a brief overview of the district's recent grant activity, as well as an overview of the district's participation in the 2020 California legislative session.
Oh, okay.
In early 2019, staff began applying for a series of new grants, some addressing traditional programs and others targeting funds for new district initiatives. And these are reflected in the table in the staff report. In 2020, we were awarded funds for 4 of those applications, totaling roughly $750,000. 2 of the awards are funding construction of the Azalea Hill Trail. Another grant from the Department of Fish and Wildlife funds the Lagunitas Creek Enhancement Plan. In April of 2020, the district secured a $150,000 grant to fund a local hazard mitigation plan. This important grant, funded by FEMA, is foundational in that once completed, it'll make the district eligible for a range of hazard mitigation funding programs. Eligibility for these grants at both the state and federal level will support the district's current emphasis on disaster preparedness, hazard reduction, and emergency response. We're awaiting decisions on 3 grant applications. One is a grant with Fish and Wildlife to advance designs from our Lagunitas Creek enhancement plan from 30% to 90%. Also a grant with UC Davis to study the feasibility of siting energy recovery turbines in our system. We also have a pending $750,000 grant application with state parks to fund the next phase of the Azalea Hill Trail project. In 2019, the district twice applied for grants to the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, also known as CAL FIRE, to reduce hazardous fuels and restore forest health on the watershed. Both times, however, we did not receive awards. We will continue to seek funding for these programs, and the effort that's put into these grants can also be used for local grant applications, specifically the anticipated Measure C funding that will be under the purview of the local Joint Powers Authority, or JPA. So I'm going to pivot over to our legislative program. The legislative program monitors issues in the California legislature and in the United States Congress that have the potential to affect the ability of the district to carry out its mission. Our strategies for doing this are threefold. One is tracking water and natural resource related bills of interest to the district. Also by leveraging membership in industry groups to advance district interests in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. And also by providing input on pending legislative matters, submitting letters as needed, and communicating with the offices of our legislators. As I mentioned, the district utilizes memberships in industry groups to provide its input. Some of those prominent groups that we participate in is the Association of California Water Agencies, or ACWA. Also Together Bay Area, which was formerly the Bay Area Open Space Council, which is a collaboration of land management agencies and other groups in the Bay Area. Also California Municipal Utilities Association, or CMUA, and American Water Works Association, among others. Mm-hmm. The 2020 legislative session was unusual due to the pandemic. Before the session began, we anticipated the major legislative efforts to be tracked by district staff would include public safety power shutoff related bills. Most of those proposed provided more oversight over PG&E. They required more coordination with the district and other essential service providers. They also protected or exempted those that needed auxiliary power generation from overregulation. There were bills providing omnibus fire and flood protection funding or additional requirements for CAL FIRE. And there were bills governing accessory dwelling units, among others, and connection fees, and we were tracking all of those. The pandemic, however, changed that, and many of the bills were shelved or delayed when the Senate and Assembly adjourned in March for a much longer than expected recess. And when they reconvened, the focus really was on the smaller than expected state budget. So the 2020 session may be remembered more for what was not passed than what was. Measures to fund wildlife prevention, parks, and water infrastructure were deliberated until this very last weekend. But as of today, September 1st, which is the last day of the session, none of those appear to have advanced to the governor's desk. That said, tracking priorities for the upcoming state legislative session will still include bills related to funding water or green infrastructure projects, PSPS related regulation or assistance as it may pertain to the district, and of course, wildfire related funding for vegetation management or emergency preparedness. And at the federal level, we look to our legislators to provide funding for infrastructure and for drought resiliency legislation. Thank you.
Okay. I have just a couple of questions, Matt. On the grants that we were awarded, I was a little surprised, and believe me, this is not complaining. because your track record here is outstanding. I mean, it's very, very good. But I would think that we are prime candidates for grants in the fire protection area, and yet those are the two denied. Have you got any? Can you identify any causation there? I mean, perhaps why?
It was a very competitive solicitation, and we actually received very good feedback from CAL FIRE, encouraging us to apply again. So they gave us some feedback that we used to fine tune the proposals, and we are prepared to submit them again. But there is some concern that CAL FIRE will need to find funding for their grant program. But we believe we are very competitive.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, thank you. Any other questions from the board?
That was mine.
Good.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No, President Gibson, we do not.
All right. Thank you, Matt. I guess that takes us to item number 10, future agenda items. Okay. I guess that speaks for itself.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. All right.
I thought they're all as scheduled, no changes, and we'll keep reminding, but we're continue to work hard for the retreat on the 25th.
Okay. All right, good. I think we're ready for adjournment. Before I adjourn the meeting, however, I wanted to note and I wanted to adjourn the meeting tonight in memory of Connie Berto, who passed away this last month. Connie was known to all of us, I'm sure, a longtime supporter of the district and a very active member of our equestrian community, or horse people, as she would say, and absolute regular contributor to the watershed committees. I can't think of very many watershed committees that she was not full force there. She'll be missed.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, I guess we adjourn to closed session.
Director Gibson, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. There was one item on the agenda for the political reform conflict of interest code.
Yeah, that was on the consent calendar.
Yes.
I think that was
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. It was on the consent calendar and approved.
Okay, great. Okay, my apologies. Thank you.
Yeah.
No worries.
No problem.
Okay.
All right, adjourning to closed session. Do we sign out of this and then re-sign in?
No, go ahead and please stay on, board members, and I believe Ben and Bob and Vicky will stay on, and everyone else I will have to remove.
Bye, everybody.
Right.
Have a good evening.
Okay.